Welcome, one and all, to, of course, India Bangladesh. The first time India and Bangladesh are playing in ODI in India, and it's been 25 years. I'm not even joking. 1998 was the last time we saw an ODI between these two teams on Indian soil. My name's Abni Shaikde, and we have, of course, the two men in blue, Nikhil Popara and Gukira, joining us right now. How are we, guys, on this Thursday? And it's going to be a new venue of the World Cup, Pune. Nikhil Popara, are you looking forward to this game?
Yes, why not? And India Bangladesh have a good rivalry, however you may want to put it. So it should be a good game. And again, a black soil wicket, that is interesting, something that I don't know whether people expected it or not, but looks like a hard surface, so hopefully full of runs.
Let's see. Gurkirat, 25 years ago, we played Bangladesh. Apparently, that was at the Wankhede Stadium. And Rahul Dravid featured, scored an amazing 1 of 21 balls before getting bowled. And there was also a certain Paris Bhambre and Navjot Singh Sidhu opened the batting that day. India won by 5 wickets. But do you remember any of those moments, or do you think it's an absolute blank in your head?
No, I tried not to remember the 2007 game only. 98, I don't think I was even in my senses completely. I was just 2 years old. Yeah, I was away from the world of cricket. I was just carefree, carefree kid who was just worried about playing outside and eating his food. That's all. Cricket was the last
It's
thing
still
in my
it's still the same, but yeah, just minor change in priorities.
Before we get in, before we
You
get
have to
into the
keep the
talking
child
points,
alive.
Yeah.
of course, the toss is going to be happening soon, so I definitely want to pick your mind about that and all of that. But quickly, India Bangladesh memory straight up. Where do we automatically go to? Do we go to that Nidahas final? Do we go to that 2016 Dhoni run out? What is the most vivid memory for you, Gurkirat?
We could go to the Champions Trophy semi-final 2017. India made a good comeback. Bangladesh are actually on course to get a 300 kind of total. India restricted them to 260 and then chased it comfortably. We could go back to a couple of Asia Cup finals. We could go back to the 2015 quarter final. lot of games to go back to, except for the one that I'm not going to talk about.
Okay. By the way, Somesh Agarwal, who's of course a correspondent in Pune, will give us a lot of good things to digest in the cricket.com website and the app. So keep your eyes peeled, viewers, for that one. And he's just messaged us in the internal group saying no Shakib today. Is that already a big blow to Bangladesh if they ever wanted another one, Nikhil?
Yeah, I think there were murmurs about Shakib possibly missing out because of fitness concerns. So I'm sure they have played without him as well. But yeah, World Cup is a different battle altogether. But uh, let's hope that we still get a good game, which I think we will. It's not easy to fill Shakib's shoes. It's not possible. Only I will not even say that it's do this, do that, and even if you get two players, it is still not possible to fill Shakib's shoes. So they will miss him, but they have played without him as well. So maybe it's an opportunity for somebody else to step up. And yeah, I think 2007 India Bangladesh, it's best to talk it out. That was the first time and probably the only time that I felt so much about a game because I was making diaries from newspaper cuttings at that time at the start of the World Cup. So I had a countdown from 10 days, 5 days, all of that. Every match is covered until the India Bangladesh one. And at that day, I stopped the newspaper cuttings because I didn't have the courage to do it. So what I then decided to do is something I still do is whenever I meet any cricketer, I take their autograph in that diary. That what was supposed to be a very good lifetime memory for me was going down the drain. So might as well make it something into a very cherishable one by having people sign it off so that it just completes the cycle of loop. And yeah, so cricket nerds like that.
Yeah, that was a dark day, Gurkirat, in Indian cricket history. 16 years ago in Port of Spain, or should I say Port of Pain for Indian fans over there. And even in the last couple of ODIs, I say four in particular, the head-to-head, it's 3-1 Bangladesh, Gurkirat. So does that have any bearing in a contest like today, India-Bangladesh? You're on mute.
I knew that. I knew that. No, you wouldn't think so because conditions are entirely different. Uh, India were also not full strength, so yeah, you think in the Asia Cup game as well. India rested five of their players from the first 11. So you wouldn't think so. You think that India go in as favorites, and yeah, hopefully goes well for India. India would just like, Shubman to hit a few runs now that he's come back, and probably, yeah, look to Shreyas to control the game. Look at Shreyas to control the game in the middle over. So if these two things happen, India would be very happy because they'll have far more confidence going into the next game, which is on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. Remember, the big breaking news, like we already gave you right now, no Shakib Ul Hassan for Bangladesh today, so that is a big blow. But they still have that man who was part of the 2007 win in terms of Gurkhirat's favorite man, Mushfiqur Rahim. Let's see if he comes to the party. The toss is just going to be upon us. So, Nikhil Popper, I know you're around the TV compared to both of us, so you will have to kind of yell out the breaking news whenever that happens. Just quickly, as
Bangladesh,
I
Bangladesh opted to bat.
oh, they've opted to bat. Okay, interesting call that. What do you guys make of it? Nikhil, your first thoughts?
Uh, it's difficult because teams have opted to bowl first here. There has been dews which has come through, but again, a lot of teams have depended on dew, and the dew hasn't shown up. So, very keen to hear the captain's thoughts, both of them, to be able to make a informed call on okay, why have they batted first at this venue. I don't think India will mind. India has done well bowling first, and they have chased down scores well. So not something that they would mind about, but yeah, very keen to see if they feel the surface is dry and whether it will go slow down and all of that. So pretty keen to hear what the captains have to say for it.
Okay, Gurkirat, we heard Sanjay Manjrekar and Irfan Pathan. I think it was a toss saying it's a good pitch, has a history, a lot of runs, and something it'll definitely do for the Seamers under lights. Shanto has just gone on to stay, who's a stand-in captain for Bangladesh today, saying that he'd like to bat purely because it's a fresh wicket. Do you see any vindication in that?
Difficult to call again because it's the first game at this venue. But if you go by what the history of this venue has had, I remember when in the first couple of games or 2-3 games you were talking about, I said that Pune could turn out to be the best pitch, but so far I feel it's been Firozshah Kotla. But with Pune, I think there will be bounce. We have seen that it's a hard pitch, so you should expect bounce. You should expect a decent amount of pace. The black soil bit might just bring in spin into play. So the spinners leaking economy runs at an economy of 6 part may not come to true today because we've seen that whenever there has been a black soil pitch, there has been some turn on offer. Batters should really enjoy this pitch because it's not a big ground. Square boundaries are short. So if you are good on the hook or the pull, you should take chances, especially if bowlers go short. I just feel like we've seen at a few venues, if there is bounce, a couple of bowlers could just get carried away and start bowling, banging it short without realizing that the boundaries are not big enough. So if there is bounce, I'd really like the bowlers to hit that 5 meter length, which is just in between the good length and the short ball length. So if that happens, I see bowlers doing well. But how much spin will it have? We'll have to see because conventionally black soil does aid spin, but fresh wicket, so you really can't say.
It'll be interesting to see how the surface plays out. Remember, we'll get the boys to talk about key battles. We'll give you some trivia as ever on the previews of cricket.com in this World Cup. And not to forget our X factors and predictions because the boys have been kind of calling it right in that regard. We also, of course, encourage a lot of comments, a lot of likes, and new subscriptions. So please do us a favor and keep your questions coming through right now. Now, Rohit Sharma, I've heard a quote on the cricket.com live blog that he would have liked to bowl first, gentlemen. So I think India have got what they wanted. Bangladesh have got what they've wanted. And Sanjay asks us, Nikhil, will be interesting to see if Rohit bowls today. Took himself off after Hardik hit a couple of blows in the net. How do you think it's also going to play out in terms of team selection? I know India will get the confirmation right now, and there is no Shami, so I think they've stuck with the same team by the looks of things. That's a good thing, right? You don't want to kind of chop and change, even though sometimes you're playing in different venues.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people want those changes to happen for some reason, but it is good that it's not happening because they are sticking to what they've decided, which is what you want to see. It's a
Yeah.
very thin line between being rigid and being very situational and game aware. In terms of team aware, at this thing, we've talked a lot about how this is the unit that is most likely to play the most of the games at most of the venues. So no surprises there. Uh, I don't know whether I want Rohit to bowl. I think you have enough bowling You are anyways not using one of your key bowlers, so I don't know whether you want to go to Rohit to bowl or not. But again, black soil wicket makes me think there could be uneven bounce. So my X factor for the pick then is very much ready.
Okay, and let's just move into that segment then, because now that you've mentioned it, it'll be blasphemous if I don't get it up. And of course, speaking of X factors, let's get that quirky sting out. Right, we always call X factors in terms of both teams, Bangladesh and India, in this regard. So I'll start with Gurkirat first here, even though Nikhil has given us a little clue and hint of who's his X factors. Gurkirat, are you going for a certain king today?
Yeah, the few names that are in my mind. There's obviously Virat, there's Shubman, there's Shreyas. So yeah, haven't gone for Virat so far yet. So yeah, would be a good day to go for him, given he has an outstanding record at Pune. Scored that magnificent 100 versus England when he had that partnership with Kedar. So yeah, Virat today, India chasing will not be a bad call. From Bangladesh, I just feel like going for Nasum Ahmed. He's come in a left arm spinner. India have not played him much, and I think that was probably Nikhil's pick as well. I just hope yeah, because during the Asia Cup he played one game, or I think it was probably that second game, second ODI in that series when India were playing in Bangladesh, where he actually bowled well, and I really liked the control that he had. So yeah, just feel like India have not played him much, and left arm spin has been something that has troubled a few of Indian batters. Let's not name them. So Nasum Ahmed is the one I wanted to go for.
Nikhil, has he just been a copycat?
No, good. It's good. Sometimes it's always good to be on the same page. As long as it's the same, yeah, it's the same book, so it's okay. Great mind and all of that. But yeah, I think my pick from Bangladesh was going to be Nasu. With no Shakib, his role increases a lot more because he's then he'll be assured of bowling whatever overs. Yes, the score will be critical for him, and when they use him. But now that is taken care of, it will be difficult to not name Rahim again, the fallback guy, the guy who loves to do well versus India, especially while batting first. And with no Shakib, again, the role becomes even more critical for him to be able to do well. Yes, he will be challenged in the middle overs by Kuldeep and Bumrah, Siraj, whoever bowls there. But Bangladesh will need him to score well because again, if it's a good batting day, you expect Shanto and others to get some kind of a start. So that's where hopefully they'll set it up well for Rahim to be able to end well. From India, it's a proper X factor pick in Shardul Thakur. He hasn't been used at all. Everybody is going to go for the top five bowlers in Hardik, Siraj, Bumrah, Kuldeep, Jadeja. But today, again, another black soil wicket where if there is uneven bounce, if he's used at the right times, he could result into getting a few handy three for at this venue. Because otherwise, most of the picks are straightforward. You'll pick the top three, or you'll pick the top five batters. So if we the only X factor then left is Shardul. So yep, Shardul and Rahim.
Okay, I'm going to go for Gill and Jadeja. Don't ask me Jadeja. I just generally think he's going to come good with the ball in hand. And Pranav Anand makes a good point, Gurkirat. He goes on to say Bangladesh have lost the last 3 games, at least in World Cup competitions versus India chasing. So they're bowling first now. Also, they must be hoping it does something under light. Maybe use cross-seamer, short length like that, like how Netherlands did that. But one brave call, like he's also pointed out, Karan B, that is that they've dropped Taskin. Do you think that will go against them in hindsight, or not really, because they have one bloke called Hassan Mahmood, who's also very skiddy?
Yeah, I'm not sure of this call. Honestly, I felt they could have stuck with Taskin, uh, but yeah, maybe something happened in the last game that they felt that they wanted more control. But what I've not liked about their bowling is that they've chosen to bowl bowl Mustafizur Rahman with the new ball instead of Shoriful.
Yeah.
I feel if they do these things right, they give themselves a better chance. And as far as Bangladesh batting is concerned, I think it's the right call because this team hasn't really changed anything much. So It's something that I've maintained about the bottom rank side, if you want to call them, that they actually need to set up the game. And today, if the pitch does play out the way we expect the Pune pitch to play out, with having some pace, bounce being there, and if there is a little bit of movement, then Liton Das in setting up that tone will be the key. He did well versus New Zealand, but got out, on that first delivery. It could have really hit it anywhere. So hopefully, he starts well for Bangladesh so that a game can be set up.
Okay, let's see how Bangladesh go about their business, because I think weather is also a huge factor in Pune. It's hot, it's dry. So I'm guessing that they want to put the Indian boys out there in the field. But look, I'm guessing it'll be a little bit of a rock and roll start. The gut feel I'm getting. Keep your comments coming through and keep your likes coming through as well. That's most important on previews, reviews. We'll be doing the mid innings as well, and we'll get to the boys in their key battles and predictions in a bit. Mehdi Hassan will get out for either a duck or 100 against India, saying Jaydeep Vajera. Sanjay going on to say, before the World Cup, Rohit wanted to protect Kuldeep from the other team. Now he's protecting Shardul. And Jaydeep also going on to say, Bangladesh is 250. Gill is scoring 100 today. Remember the last time these two teams met, Gill did get 100 against them. And Neural Hacks was something good to see you as well. Last ODI essentially came in Pune for KL. That's something also take note of. Right. Let's go in.
That's not
Was
true.
it-
He
Oh,
scored
was
a
he-
century versus Pakistan
Oh, I mean, yeah, I'm guessing he was
in
talking about
Asia
India.
Cup. Yeah, could have been.
Yeah, maybe in India, I'm guessing, because that man sometimes is not wrong. We'll show you some great stats as well in just a bit, but let's just go into the key battles because there are a few tasty ones. Right, gentlemen, key battles. What are we talking about? Because I know the Fizz is playing. There is, of course, other good bowlers that Bangladesh possess, and vice versa when you talk about Indian bowlers to their batters. But Nikhil, what stands out the most when we talk about key battles in this match for you?
Yeah, I think the one battle that was many of us were looking forward to, that guy is not playing. So
Yeah.
that is one battle less to take care of and be worried about. That is a good thing in that aspect. But the one thing that I think will set this game up nicely is Liton Das versus Siraj. Uh, 17 runs in 22 balls, 2 wickets. He's the guy he's troubled him in the past, and yeah, Liton is getting out, but looks in good touch. So if Siraj is able to hit his form early, something we've discussed almost every game, that Siraj at times has taken a bit more time to get used to those new conditions and new venues. So if Siraj is able to get Das early, it will go a long way in terms of pushing Bangladesh back. Because if Das gets going, we know what he did in Dharamshala as well. He gets those handy boundaries in time, and we remember the Adelaide game very well as well. So
Yeah.
I won't be surprised if Siraj really grows. I don't know, maybe cross him very early, but I'm really looking on another black soil wicket to go cross him, look for the stumps, and get that early LBW.
Bangladesh, remember, have two left arm pacers. One is the Fizz and Shariful Islam, and then the other one
Yeah.
who's come in for Tashkeen is Hassan Mahmood. But you mentioned it a while ago, Gurkirat. Left arm spin, that boy Nasim Ahmed, do you think he's going to have a key battle out there in the middle against the Indian middle order? Or do you see it maybe the left arm pace of Bangladesh against the Indian openers?
Today could be a day if one of the pacers starting off is not in the best of forms, or is not, it does not have his radar right. You could actually bring in Nasoom Ahmed early on. I feel if you just look to use him, that okay, you want to use him post the 15 over mark, then he may not be as effective. Because see, while Rohit and Virat both struggle somewhat against left arm spin, that struggle bit reduces a lot, reduces significantly if they've already faced 30 odd balls, right? So if you want to bring him into the game early, you'll have to bowl him early. Like, say if the first wicket has fallen, probably take a chance, then see if there is. But again, a lot of it will have to depend upon how the pitch behaves in the first innings. If you feel the pitch doesn't have enough turn, then it may not be a great idea. But yes, that left arm threat or left arm spin threat of Nasoom Ahmed versus a few Indian batters could be a battle to look out for. But personally, like Nikhil mentioned, the more important battle would be how the Bangladesh top three, top four fare against the Indian pace attack. Because if Bangladesh are three down in the first 15, then they could really get so much behind in the game that that subsequent battle between Bangladesh bowlers and Indian batters may not come into the play. And right now, the onus is on Bangladesh batters to set up the game. They've won the toss and they've struggled with opening partnerships. It's not that they've got it. They've really struggled with it. So today could be a good day, for those Bangladeshi batters. Today, I think they have Shanto slated to bat at number 4 again. Again, a change in the batting order. So you really don't know what's going to come up in that regard.
It's a pick and mix almost, because we've seen how they've chopped and changed with their openers. I know they've been played with a couple of injuries, but sometimes it's been tactical calls as well. And it just makes me ask the boys about Bangladesh a little bit more, because they started off this campaign pretty well against Afghanistan, getting the points in Dharamshala. Then they slipped up against England and New Zealand, and inevitable. I think they play another game in Pune, which is their final group game against Australia, but that comes later on in the competition. And after India, their itinerary looks South Africa in Mumbai. Then they have Netherlands in Kolkata, again, Pakistan in Kolkata as well. So do you think they're looking at this game that, hold on, if we can actually get maybe 270 against India next, do they fancy themselves? Or do you think no chance? The way India are looking, they'll probably steamroll anyone, let alone Bangladesh.
See, India will definitely want to think like that, and it won't be wrong given how they played. But I don't think it will be as easy. A lot will have to again depend on conditions, because against Afghanistan to have 270 to be chasing, it was Rohit who killed the chase all by himself in the power play. But not jinxing him, someday it may not come off. I hope it comes off till the final and even in the final. But you have to be ready for all those scenarios. So India will hope that it keeps coming off, and if not, they have enough batting in the deep.
I think his net became an issue.
I mean, that's a rarity from Nikhil Popa. It's normally Gurkirat, but it's fine. Gurkirat's still well and alive over here. Gurkirat, I just want to ask you with regards to India right now. They're kind of going head for head with regards to New Zealand, right? New Zealand have done the job yesterday. India need to get the job done today, and it sets up that Dharamshala clash even more. Do you think India and New Zealand right now, 1/3 of the tournament's in, they look the best of the lot, right? Surely.
So far, yes, which is why if India win today, the fixture on Sunday is something to look forward to for everyone, because that really decides which team becomes the team to beat for other teams. And yeah, like how Nikhil was saying, India would really feel that even if Bangladesh get 270, India should chase it down, because it's been a venue where scores have been chased. When India played England in that bilateral series in early 2021, uh, you know England finished off one of the chases of 300 plus in some 35 overs. They just went hammer and tongs. And the other two games that England lost, in one of those games they were actually so far behind, but Sam Curran played a very good innings and nearly took England past the line. uh, in the first game again, England just collapsed out of nowhere, or else they were on course to win that game as well. So uh, if those matches are to go by, you would have to say that if India were batting first, they'll probably have to sort of score around 320, 330 at the minimum, because how those games went. uh, the due bit again, you really can't rely too much on it. But what you've seen at Pune, even in the IPL and otherwise, is that the ball swings in the second half, at least in
Yeah.
the first 10. So India would act if Bangladesh's best chance is to get 270, 275, 280, somewhat in between, and then try and get two Indian wickets, if not more, in the first power play, and from there on put on the squeeze through spinners. There's Nasoom, there's Mehndi Hassan, and see how things pan along from there. But given Bangladesh's batting is, if they start aiming for 320, 330, they could really end up getting around 220. So they should back their strengths and see accordingly, which is why I said if Bangladesh really need to put on a good score or a challenging total, they need Litton to do well, because that
Yeah.
is today there's no Shakib. So the entire load will have to be taken by Mushfiqur in the middle order. So Litton coming off today is very, very important for Bangladesh's chances. If he doesn't, then India would feel far, far more confident.
Okay, we'll get to your predictions in just a bit, boys. But before that, some fantastic stats always available on the cricket.com app. And I'm just going to run through a few of them right now. Most sixes in an ODIs in a calendar year. You guessed it. Sharmaji Kabeta is there and thereabouts. He is always there and thereabouts. 47 sixes is what he's mustered right now so far in 2023. And he's catching up. A.B. de Villiers, Chris Gale, and I think he'll probably overtake Charlie Afridi by the end of tonight, let alone in the competition. Highest batting average in an ODI run chase, minimum 2,000 runs. Virat Kohli, remember, he's, I think, reaching a landmark in terms of international runs as well. Special Chubbis. I'm not mentioning movies, I'm mentioning landmarks here. 26,000 over there. And of course, another chase on tonight, like Gurkirat said, given the fact that Virat's first ODI 100 in World Cups came against Bangladesh. Speaking of Bangladesh, Mehdi Hassan Miraz and his batting prowess in ODIs, you can take a look at how he fares as an opener compared to the number 3 and other slots as well. So maybe we might see a little promotion of MHM in just a bit. And then, of course, last but certainly not least, the hitman yet again, highest average in an ODI World Cup. It's just absolutely brilliant. 66.4, head and shoulders above everyone. And I'm talking about some great names in the game. De Villiers, Richards, Tendulkar, Sankara. He surpassed all of them, not just with the average, but with the hundreds as well. So all of this available on our social media platforms. Check it out. And before I move on to some trivia, a quick reminder of the points table. Remember, like I said, Bangladesh getting those 2 points in Dharamshala, but since then it's been kind of almost famine, no feast, whatever. And if India can get the win today, in all honesty, they'll probably surpass New Zealand with their net run rate, but we'll see how that story evolves in due course. Right, before we get into the predictions, let's move on and not just take comments, which we'll do also, but give you a little bit of trivia in Did You Know? We already told you that the first time ever since 1998, India playing an ODI against Bangladesh in India, and the last time it came against, in Mumbai, I should say. But the Did You Know today is, of course, Ishan Kishan and that 210, because he was the first batter to convert his maiden 100 into a double century in ODIs, and he did achieve it against Bangladesh in 2022. So if we see that kind of emulations happening from the Indian batsmen, won't we all love it? Right, before we get into the comments, boys, talk to me about your predictions, because Gurkirat, you were saying 270, 280, but do you think realistically Bangladesh can get that, or do you think, again, India will silence them like they always have?
They can get it for sure, but it's difficult to trust Bangladesh's batting at this moment. They've really not done enough. It was the same story in the Asia Cup. In fact, they did not do well versus New Zealand in that series at home. So Bangladesh batting lineup have a lot of question marks against them right now, because so many times, even in that last game, you felt after that Raheem and Shakib partnership that they could have tried to get those 15 more runs extra, maybe 260, 265, but then wickets again fell in a bunch. If it had not been for Mohammedullah's cameo, they would have struggled to get 245. So today, the good thing is Mohammadullah is batting at 7, so hopefully, it allows him to come in a better situation and then dictate the game further. Maybe Shakib's not there, so Raheem also comes in at 5, and that helps them set up a few things differently, or probably get more balls to make an impact. So they can, but would they is a question that only they can themselves answer, because it's been a pattern with a few teams. You see that there are the resources and what you can call it as raw materials to do well, but a lot of those things haven't just come together, and those teams have only themselves to blame and not really the opposition or anyone else.
Nikhil, what do you feel? India, I know, have won 3 games and 3 games chasing. They've restricted Pakistan to under 200. They've restricted Australia under 200. And of course, Afghanistan huffed and puffed a really under par total that night in Delhi. So what will they do in game 4, my friend?
They'll just hope for a good start for a change, so that a good start really helps them a lot, because as Paji said, those numbers, there have been musical chairs there, but you can see what they're trying to do, that if they get a great start, Rahim is enough experience to take care that he takes them to a very good total. But the only problem there is there's a Jasprit Bumrah there, so it's not going to be easy. He's bowling at his best with the old ball as well. So for Bangladesh, they'll hope Shanto, Tanzin Das can just see off the first spell and then take it from there. Just don't, as Pari said, just don't pre-decide where you want to get to. See how conditions are, and then you go from there. You have the bowling in Shoriful, in Nasoom to keep India, maybe not quite, but in check at least. But for that, you'll need to have a score in front of you, and the ball does do something under lights. So there is hope, but then we know it's the hope that kills. So we'll have to manage that very really well.
Look, one thing is for sure, India and how they've gone about their business with the ball, you kind of look at how the games have kind of gotten away from them initially, but they pulled it back brilliantly. 155 for 2 for Pakistan comes to mind straight away. But even against Australia, no one thought Australia is going to collapse under 200, but they did. Afghanistan, they were 184 for 3 boys before getting into that 272 all out. So India have been looking good, and it's a perfect time to, of course, plug in Somesh's article right now with regards to what he's dished out in terms of the latest feature on cricket.com. I love the headline. It says Death by Bowling Depth, and it's a fascinating read. It's a compelling one, if I may add. And it asks the all-important question, in Jadeja and Hardik, do India have the best 4th and 5th bowlers in the World Cup? It talks to you about all the other 4th and 5th bowling options that you have in the other teams. For example, New Zealand having Lockie, Glenn, Rachin Ravindra, James Neesham, Darren Mitchell. For them, it just goes on, and it shows you the whole list of teams as well. Not just that, but also some fascinating data and numbers to really pick the bones about with regards to all the bowling choices that the team has. Performance of the 4th and 5th bowler in particular, the pacers, and Som has done a fantastic comparison of all the bowlers. So go check it out if you guys have some time today. It's available on the website. And like I said, it's compelling more than anything. Right. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. I think I'll touch base with you guys in the mid-innings. Hopefully, will be lots to kind of bite into with regards to the Indian lens. And we'll leave it there. Subscribe if you guys are new, and please like this video if you guys think India are going to make it 4 on the trot in this year's World Cup. I'm Abdi Shagli signing off with Good Kirat and Nikhil Popat, brilliant in blue as ever. Cheers.
Good that you didn't ask about an upset today.
Yeah, no upset. No, I didn't want to mention it. I can't believe you mentioned it. On that note, let's end the show. Yes. Bye.